Welcome in. Pro Football Today is live on SportsGrid. I'm Kevin Walsh. That's Donnie Rightside, and that is Joe Lisi. And we are already in the mix with you here out in London. Yep. Vikings, Jets, a 3-0 lead early for Minnesota. We will follow this game all morning as well as breaking down a full Sunday slate here, Lisi.
Yeah, this game is right now changed, right? Minnesota dominated in regards to the first quarter. Sam Darnold came out, hit Justin Jefferson, a critical turnover. Jets driving right now, and a great slate of action today. Dictates conference championships, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, Jets bending but not breaking on that first drive. As you saw, 3rd-and-1, a key sack, which forced a 54-yard field goal, which the Vikings did make. Some questionable play calling here, as we like to say, with a toss sweep. Darnold comes in. You don't watch the football in. The Jets get it. Now they're driving inside the 40-yard line. But I think we got juice early on. It's usually a sloppy start sometimes overseas. Let's see if it settles in, guys.
And again, we will be able to follow this game here. I entered this one liking the Jets as a 2.5-point underdog, thinking that you would get a great effort from this team. And defensively, they've been solid to open it up. The offense just has not found that rhythm. And you do wonder, if at all, the Davante Adams questions hang around this football team. Is Rodgers waiting for the arrival of Davante Adams? And as Donnie's, I know, alluded to many times, do these wide receivers think, is this my last game being able to get mine? It's one of the biggest stories in the National Football League, and we will talk about it throughout our show today, guys. And I'll go to you first, Lisi, but where will Davante Adams end up? I certainly feel confident in saying his future in Vegas is not going to last very long.
No, and the Jets are on the list, I think, of potential suitors, but I still think the Buffalo Bills are an option, as well as the Steelers. We talked about it in regards to Thursday night, in regards to the potential landing spots for Davante Adams. But again, this was an opportunity today for the Jets to erase that poor defeat to Denver, an 8.5-point favorite. They allowed Bo Nix to beat them with a 60-yard performance. You had a 4-0 football team in Minnesota. The ability to start fast and just erase last week, that didn't happen, right? They get the football back, now turn it over, and now here's an opportunity, guys, for Minnesota to score yet again and really take the lead and put the pressure on Aaron Rodgers here.
And they did, in fact, do that. A ridiculous pick six by Aaron Rodgers in that spot. I don't know who he was looking for at that point, but it was, carbon copy, linebacker drops back right into a passing lane. Now, I want to bring up this point, too, because Aaron Rodgers in this game, guys, body language is terrible. Already off-key with Garrett Wilson on a play that probably should have 25, 30 yards. They're not on the same page. Alan Lazard, the play before that interception, dropped an easy 20-yard catch on the outside. And you see Aaron Rodgers, clap those hands, sort of roll his eyes in the back of his head. Then he throws the pick six right now. Things aren't good for the Jets, but I like where you brought up that Davante Adams. Is this one where the Jets lose, all panic, all hands on deck? We have to make sure we get him, no doubt about it?
Well, I mean, if you're Davante Adams, though, right, and you're watching this performance.
I'll cut you off right there. I promise you this right now. He's not watching this and thinking anything other than, perfect, get me there, they need me badly. It is what he wants desperately.
Okay, but he also wants to win, I would think, right?
Not more than he wants to go to the Jets.
Really?
He thinks he can win there.
Okay.
He thinks he can win there.
All right.
And I don't think that's crazy of him to think. We can say that there's better landing spots for him to win. There are probably better landing spots, right? Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore. I get
Donnie
that.
brought up Dallas. I mean, that's potential.
There's nothing he wants more than to go to the New York Jets. But this is why we've heard a lot of rumors around this, and there's continuous rumors that the Saints, who play on Monday night, will all be live for that game, are heating up. I feel that Davante Adams, as much as he wants to win, he wants, as all receivers do, theirs, and he wants a quarterback that he trusts will get him his. And that's why I think the Saints are such a likely landing spot here when we take a look at Davante Adams. I tell you, though, the Baltimore Ravens are a team who are going to be messing around. He had an Instagram story of Edgar Allan Poe, who wrote The Raven. I don't really know why that was the case, because if that meant he was going to the Ravens, you would think that deal would be done. Well, the Ravens are in action today, and I think the biggest game on this slate. They are going to Cincinnati as a 2.5-point favorite, where a win will probably bury the Bengals. They would be sat there 1-4. And for the Ravens, they'd be right on track. Not just sitting 3-2, but 3 straight wins against Dallas, Buffalo, and Cincinnati would be as impressive as it gets, Donnie, here. A massive one in the AFC North.
No, it certainly is. And it's funny you bring this up because you're not supposed to think like this. Like the Baltimore Ravens adding Davante Adams, like you're supposed to be like, oh, my goodness, that's the final piece to the puzzle, and they're going to go out and win a Super Bowl. I'm the opposite right now, Joe. I say I don't want the star wide receiver because I don't want that team's identity to think they can change. They are a running team, passing second, play good defense, use Lamar Jackson, use Derrick Henry, and I don't want to upset the apple cart, Joe.
Well, when you talk about Derrick Henry, 151 yards against Dallas, $199 against Buffalo. They're starting to run the football. Donnie's right in regards to the identity, right? They know what they want to do right now, and they're going to try and do it against Cincinnati in terms of today's game. But you bring Davante Adams in regards to that offensive attack, and is Lamar maybe handcuffed saying, I got to force the football into Davante Adams more times than not? I mean, New Orleans is intriguing in the sense of, I know I keep going back to this, but he already played with Derek Carr, right? And I know he put up numbers, but they didn't really win and get anywhere. And you say that, that's secondary. But, I mean, if he's already done it, why would he want to go back? I mean, you look at the Jets, the odds and where they were from a perception standpoint, and other teams. I mean, again, that's why I still think Buffalo, and you say no, but, I mean, to play with Josh Allen and to potentially be the best team in the division ahead of the Jets, wouldn't that be a bigger opportunity for him?
So I think this is one of those situations, Joe, where I'm not disagreeing with you because I think you're saying ridiculous stuff.
No, I know.
Like that. Davante Adams played with Derek Carr in 2022 in Vegas. 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns. He wants to go play with Derek Carr. 100 catches, 180 targets, 180 targets. I'm not saying that his statistics are more important than winning, so much so that he would love to go. Like what Malik Neighbors is doing with the Giants, right? Like where Davante Adams, literally put me on the worst team in the NFL and just give me 1 million targets, right? Like send me to the Patriots and see if Jacoby Brissett throws into me 100 times. He wants to win, but also go where he thinks I'm going to be good. Let's not forget, the reason he went to the Raiders was for Carr. Like, he very much likes to be where, again, he feels most comfortable, and I think that is a big factor. To go back to this game here in front of us with the Jets now trailing 10-0, guys, the Jets' angle of this, if they lose, I think is going to take front and center. They'd be sat there 2-3, and rightfully so, especially if the offense continues to struggle this way. But not far behind will be the conversation figuring out how good are the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, we know they're good. We know they're good right now. They could lose this game. We know they're good. 5-0. They're off their bye after this. I mean, are you guys feeling like, you know what, forget the preseason perception, this is a real Super Bowl contender?
Well, I told you last week, I mean, if this defense continues to be opportunistic, continues to shut down the run, and they come in today only giving up 75 rushing yards per game, second best in the NFL. If that continues, Donnie, I think they're a legitimate contender. And as long as Sam Darnold plays within the scheme, doesn't turn the football over, you can win like that. And with Justin Jefferson, best potential wide receiver on the field, yeah, I think they're a legitimate contender. Another turnover by Rodgers.
This game's
incredible.
It's about to go off the rails right now for the Jets. And again, that body language from Aaron Rodgers, even previous, they just ran a screen pass to Braylon Allen. He dropped that screen pass there, and then he overfires that. So this one could get way out of whack. But also, back to your Minnesota point, Kevin.
Yeah.
They've played a very good schedule. Yeah. They're not hiding like, hey, first four quarterbacks, all rookies and banged up third stringers. Like, no, they're beating good football teams in their building, outside of their building, and also now looks like they're about to handle their business against the New York Jets. It's time to believe in Minnesota.
And I think the tough part here is the Jets had that splash play on the defensive side of the football. If you are the New York Jets, you look at now what is the last 4 or 5 quarters of football. This looks like everything it's been. Your defense is doing everything they can, and your offense is letting you down. We go to our game of the day. That is Cincinnati and Baltimore next.
it's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the one. Obviously, Terrence Shannon Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant with that amount of money.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Live with you right here on SportsGrid Pro Football today. We dive into the Sunday slate where the Cincinnati Bengals need a victory over the Baltimore Ravens. No other way to slice it here. And Cincy currently is positioned as a 2.5-point underdog. Burrow and the Bengals with a win would be 2-3. And while that wouldn't be anything to write home about, you drag Baltimore right back down to 2-3, and you'd both have to be rooting on Dallas tonight as they go to Pittsburgh and play the division-leading Steelers. You look at these divisional odds, and I really do believe that a Baltimore win, I'm not saying they're going to go to minus 200 because Pittsburgh tonight is still favored, but Cincinnati, all of a sudden, you're looking at plus 600, plus 700 type of range to win this division, a team that I picked preseason to win this division. It's been a rough start here, Donnie. What are you seeing heading into this matchup?
Well, I like the Baltimore Ravens and what they've been doing the past couple weeks. Let's get back to the ground game. Let's get back to playing good defense here and see what happens. Usually good things happen with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in your backfield. I need that same extension today as they take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Because the one thing that we used to say with the Bengals and say, all right, how can they stay in this football game? Well, Lou Anarumo's a very creative defensive mind. Doesn't really matter what the players are. He'll make it work. It hasn't worked at all this year. And if you're going to come into a football game and you can't stop the run, they're going to run all over you with the Baltimore Ravens. But I have said this. I like during the week where Joe Burrow is basically saying, I got to go out, Joe. I got to play perfect football to keep us in this game, which means that green lights Jamar Chase, that green lights T. Higgins here, and that's what it's going to take. But if I'm looking at the game optimistically from a Cincinnati Bengals perspective, Joe Burrow has to throw for 325 and 3 scores, or they don't win this football game.
I agree with you 100%. His number today, I believe, is in the area of 259.5. You saw Jamar Chase get involved in regards to back-to-back weeks. It started when they lost the Monday night matchup to Washington, over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. It continued last week against Carolina. T. Higgins getting more involved in regards to the offense. I think if you're Cincinnati, you look to get this game into the 50s, right, over the 48.5 and say, let's try and outdo Lamar Jackson and at least take Derrick Henry somewhat out of the game, right? Because if they start and Derrick Henry's ripping off 10, 12, 15-yard runs and an 86-yarder to start the game or a 50-yarder to hit pay dirt, it's going to be lights out, and they're going to dictate the tempo, and I don't know if Cincinnati can win that type of ball game. So with a 2.5-point number, Kev, I lean to Cincinnati here. Again, I'm with you. It's do or die. They win this, great. If not, their season's over. I'm willing to take it because they're a home dog.
I like the Bengals in this spot. I think the funny thing with me, and sometimes this happens as a bettor, if this game was pick, I feel like I'd be on Cincinnati. Then you make it 2.5, and I sit there all week going, can I get 3? Can I get 3? Can I get 3? Although at 3, I think everybody then would all of a sudden start to jump Cincinnati there. Joe Burrow is an excellent underdog against the number in his NFL career. He's just been excellent against the number. Now at home, needing the game, the offensive rhythm is there. That is the reality. Now, look, Washington and Carolina are a pair of very, very bad defenses. But Baltimore's defense has not been challenged. I'm not trying to downplay Buffalo or Dallas. What I mean is they've not been challenged for 4 quarters up against an unpredictable offense where they get these 20-point leads against Buffalo and Dallas. It's just pin your ears back, send everybody. A lot of the playbook can get limited like that. I think it is incredibly important in this game that you see the Cincinnati Bengals start early in this football game. Gosh forbid, can you make Lamar Jackson play from behind here, force a couple errant passes into what I still think is a vulnerable secondary, but make him make 1 or 2 mistakes in this game? I agree with you guys. I look to Cincinnati, no doubt about it. The question becomes, where do we go into this props market right now? Last week, Donnie, you were on Joe Burrow for a best bet. Got the job done. Are you looking to go back to him?
I really like Joe Burrow in this game because it's not so much if they had a bell cow running back. It's like, okay, those guys can steal some of those carries inside, let's say, the 5-yard line. I don't think that's going to be the case today. I just think it has to be on Joe Burrow's shoulders. And to Joe's point, bring up earlier, you're looking now, T. Higgins, another week in that lineup and healthy. Jamar Chase, another week there, working together on the football field. I think that's going to pay dividends. Yossi Walsh is a decent third option, but I don't have that bell cow running back. Look, Moss is a decent guy. Brown is a decent running back, but this team is going to be built today on the passing game, which is why I brought up, not even being facetious, 325 and 2 to 3 touchdown passes here is what it's going to take for Burrow. Why? Because the Baltimore Ravens aren't going to be sitting there in the fourth quarter, Joe, with 16 points.
No, they held Buffalo to 81 rushing yards, completely neutralized Dalvin Cook. We were talking about James Cook and Josh Allen in regards to the rushing attack. But I agree with Donna. I think this game plan is similar to the KC game, right, where they started fast. They got Burrow up into the area of about 275. We saw Gesicki also utilized in terms of mismatches. Maybe he can be involved as a secondary option outside of Chase and Higgins. Higgins is 52.5. Gesicki 24.5. I like both of those players today. I really think it comes down to the tempo, starting fast as well. Playing at home, you want to start fast, keep that crowd involved, and then maybe your defense potentially can get some turnovers in this matchup.
The thing where I think the total makes plenty of sense in this game, and this could very well be that shootout, is you look at Lamar Jackson to open the season, 273 yards, 247 yards, but it wasn't clean football that was being played in that game by Lamar Jackson. We made this point earlier when we were having a conversation in the week, but Lamar Jackson's last 2 games, he has a passer rating over 135. Last year, he won league MVP and only did that 3 times. He's not done it in back-to-back weeks. But if you're a prop player, Donnie, 182, come on. 156, you're leaving me at the door. He's not been pushed. Lamar is not struggling. I know that, Zay Flowers, all these guys are getting left waiting more. I think Zay Flowers could break through numbers today. Lamar has not been pushed to do really anything through the air for 2 straight weeks, but he's been playing great.
I think that helps him out, though. Like, this is the recipe, which is why I joked about Devontae Adams. Like, hey, you can have a number 1 wide receiver on your team. Would you take him? Most people would probably say, absolutely, I would, but I just don't want to stop what Baltimore's been doing well. They are a ground-and-pound football team, and once you get into those November, December, and January months, that's where Lamar Jackson should pay off. Not throwing the football, Joe. So for my money, again, if you're trying to read the tea leaves and say, what's going to happen? If he gets 22 passes or less, they run away with this football game.
Yeah, they do. And Derrick Henry gets in the area of 125 yards. They probably grind out maybe a 24-17 win, but that's a win. That's what they want. They did hold Buffalo to 3 of 13 on third downs last week.
Yeah, the more we talk about this game, I'm going to be playing the Bengals at 2.5 there. I think they do win this game. Let's move it forward here, though. Sunday Night Football factoring into that AFC North.
it's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
If you're sliding DiVincenzo to the one, obviously Terrence Channing Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant with that amount of money.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Love it.
Back right here on SportsGrid, we make the transition to some Sunday night football here where the Pittsburgh Steelers are a field goal favorite on the Dallas Cowboys. Not what I would have expected preseason. What's even more surprising is if I had to bet this game, I'd be betting Pittsburgh. Dallas is so banged up in this game. And it's not just the new additions of DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons, but you factor in that you have Trevon Diggs, who's playing but hobbled. Don't forget Deron Bland, Mr. Pick 6 last year, won't be playing in this game as he's been out for quite some time. Dallas, this mini bye, I value them. They don't know what to do with these. They're used to playing on Thanksgiving. They don't have any rhythm or flow when it comes to a situation like this. Surprisingly, I can only look Pittsburgh, Lisi, on a Sunday nighter.
I'm with you. I really like the over, though. That's the way I look in regards to this matchup, 43.5. We saw that Daniel Jones had success in regards to the passing attack in the loss, 281 yards. But to your point, even when they were healthy, this Dallas defense does not look good, in my opinion, whether it be the rushing attack in the first two games and in the secondary last week on Thursday night. I still think they're an inconsistent group, and Mike Zimmer doesn't really know how to handle that type of personnel right now. Maybe he will by the middle of the regular season, but right now, entering this matchup on the road, I still favor Justin Fields. He did have a breakout performance, didn't get the victory, but he did throw for 300 yards, rush for another 55. He led the touchdown, almost had them in position to potentially at least tie that game up in the fourth quarter, and we saw the emergence of George Pickens with 100 receiving yards, Donnie. I like Pittsburgh at home in terms of this matchup. That defense as well, I think, could turn over Dak Prescott. Lean to Pittsburgh, but I really like the over.
The only wonder for me is why this line is only hovering at 2.5 right now. Like the Pittsburgh Steelers quality football team finally lost last week. Justin Fields looks like he's starting to fit into that offense much better with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Najee Harris hasn't really had that breakout game just yet, but also he's going to be basically the singular running back today, Joe, with so many injuries. But if I say the Dallas Cowboys, what was their calling card on defense? It wasn't necessarily having a ball-hawking secondary. That did get beat sometimes. It was the pass rush. They're not going to have the pass rush today. So if you're telling me that Justin Fields is going to be able to operate basically with impunity in the pocket, why aren't we loving the Pittsburgh Steelers? And why isn't this line 3.5, 4.5, or even 5.5?
Because then Dallas tax.
What is that like? If you take away CeeDee Lamb today and you say, you know what, my focal point is CeeDee, how do the Dallas Cowboys win this game?
Well, they're not going to be able to take away CeeDee.
No Cooks. He's out today again with the injury.
But CeeDee Lamb, 77.5 receiving
yards. Who is
yards.
it, Joe? You on
Tolbert?
Tolbert?
No, but hold on. Hold on. The answer is your question. CeeDee Lamb over 77.5 receiving yards is my best bet in this game. Last year he played one game without Brandon Cooks. It was against the Jets. 11 grabs, 143 yards on 13 targets. I expect them to feed CeeDee Lamb continuously in this football game. Now, that doesn't mean I love Dallas here, but Donnie, I think Here's what I would say. I preseason would have told you Dallas is better than Pittsburgh,
Yep.
right? Now, I think that they've grown closer together, and you factor in home field advantage certainly here. But how many points would I have to give you to bet the Dallas Cowboys?
You would have to give me four and a half at least.
That's my point.
At
If
least.
you're saying why isn't it 4.5?
But yeah, that's because the field goal basically is what you're looking at, right? The 2.5 to the 3.5 to 4.5. Which I look at this game and say I think they're a decided favorite. Which in the NFL, like a decided favorite is what 7 points at that point, which would be the San Francisco 49ers and Arizona. Ooh, that's supposed to be a blowout. So it's not like we can't just say 13.5. I just say to myself, if I'm looking for this game. Dallas aspires to win this game to cover the 2.5 points. But I say to myself, again, no pass rush. You're at home. Your defense is better than the Dallas Cowboys, and you have to win this game by a field goal? Like, sign me up.
Well, think about it, though. I think, too, yeah, he's right to one extent. And think about Dallas, right? They lose 2 home games, right? Get blown out by, for the most part, New Orleans, and then for 1/2 against Baltimore. Don't cover, get the win, but no cover against New York. You might say you could get 3.5 based off of that. Limping into Pittsburgh in terms of that capacity. But if Pittsburgh wins, maybe you do get the 3.5, 4, right? I think maybe it's based more off of Pittsburgh losing to Indianapolis and a backup quarterback for the second half in Joe Flacco than more so on Dallas right now.
Yeah, I view this again, and I would lean towards Pittsburgh here, but at 3, I did consider the Dallas Cowboys. I still think that regular season Dallas with Mike McCarthy and CeeDee Lamb in a decent schedule spot. Not a great spot with all the injuries that they have. Like, I'm not on Pittsburgh at -3 in this game. The fascinating thing is, what does Najee Harris do with all the carries that he's expected to get? No Jalen Warren, no Cordero Patterson. But last week, Najee Harris, up against one of the worst rush defenses in Indianapolis, couldn't get 20 yards on double-digit carries. All stuff we will be continuing to track here. We go to the MVP conversation next.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
If you're sliding DiVincenzo to the 1, obviously Terrence Shannon Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. At the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant for that amount of money.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We're live with you on SportsGrid, taking a look at the MVP race, and I'll quickly use it to jump into our game out in London, where There's one MVP candidate, and the other guy's Aaron Rodgers. 6 of 13, 54 yards, 2 picks for Aaron Rodgers. Just quickly, DRS, what are you seeing from the Jets offense?
What I'm seeing from the Jets offense or the Jets defense at this point, this is a breaking point game because they're 2-2 on the season. They could drop to 2-3 and things aren't looking good in the first half. But from the Jets offensive perspective, it's all out of whack. You're looking at Aaron Rodgers. The one thing we always know about Aaron Rodgers, things pretty typically go well for him because he's talented and in an offense that can let him do what he does. Since coming to the New York Jets, he gets injured on play number 2 or 3 last year. Now he's playing this season. Looks like nobody is on the same page whatsoever. Mike Williams, is he active today? Is Mike Williams even active at this point today? I don't know. You take a look at the running game. It's absolutely been stopped. They had a 3rd and 1 and a 4th and 1 and ran the same play twice and didn't gain a single yard. And yes, Aaron Rodgers has 2 picks today. And by the way, it's not, bad luck, Joe. Both stone-cold interceptions right on his shoulders.
Terrible. And there's no continuity in regards to the offensive line.
None.
And no identity either. It's one thing that Aaron Rodgers is playing bad, but the inconsistency of the rushing attack now in back-to-back weeks, that's unacceptable. I mean, Breece Hall, 4 yards on 10 carries last week, can't get going today. Offensive line getting pushed around by a bigger defensive front, unacceptable. And they're going to be put into long 3rd downs. They're facing a deficit now, 13, potentially 17 points, completely one-dimensional for the second half now.
Yeah, we'll keep eyes on this game. But again, the MVP candidate within this game, it is Sam Darnold. And again, a win here goes to 5-0. That's not going to shift whatsoever. So I think the Sam Darnold argument, I know the statistics are there, early passing touchdowns and efficiency, but again, it's largely driven through record. I think we know that, and it then can open up the conversation for a lot of other quarterbacks. And Lisi, I think the guy that you want to make the point on, if gets a win tonight, he's sitting there 4-1.
Yeah, Justin Fields. Now he's 50-1. We know at the start of the year he was 100-1 because he wasn't even named the starter, getting outdue by Russell Wilson in regards to training camp. But again, when you look at the expectation, and similar to Sam Darnold, right? It was supposed to be J.J. McCarthy's team. They had a win total of 6.5, 7.5 in regards to multiple books, and now they're undefeated, right? Now all of a sudden you look NFC Championship for Sam Darnold and the Vikings. Same thing now with Justin Fields. You go to 4-1. You challenge the 8.5 win total. I said he's the best option to give this team an opportunity to make a playoff run. You saw the progression over the past couple of weeks now with 300-yard performance. Doesn't matter that they didn't win. You see that type of productivity and the upside with Justin Fields, and couple in the fact that he can run the football, guys. 55 yards, multiple touchdowns in back-to-back weeks, and they're starting to win games. You go to 4-1, I like his chances. Again, similar to Lamar Jackson, where I don't think he's going to throw for 35 to 40 touchdowns a la Pat Mahomes. But if you could lead this team to 12, 13 wins and maybe challenge for that top spot, I think Justin Fields has good value.
I think, like, if we're doubling down on that, it does make sense because if you're going to win that division, something they didn't expect to win possibly at the beginning, or I didn't expect them to win the division at the beginning of the year, and he wins it, it means he played good football all the way through. But I always like to play that devil's advocate where I get nervous. Like, they just lost a football game last week. It wasn't Justin Fields' fault. Let's just say they lose this week against the Dallas Cowboys, and as we pointed out multiple times, it's under a field goal. Right. It's not 14.5 like they're supposed to walk and have an easy victory. Is there a time, Joe, that you might get worried about, it's not fair to say a quick hook, but we know that Mike Tomlin has wanted Russell Wilson to be his quarterback, and if Fields does not provide, let's just say, a 10-3 record off this start, is there a chance that he might get that quick hook, and then he's never going to win the MVP?
I think there's always a possibility with Tomlin, right, because he tries to do the best in regards to the football team. I can just tell you from what I've seen, you know, the players have rallied around him, and he's elevated his game from week to week to week. And he's not just winning at home. The first 2 victories came on the road. Yeah. You're doing something and elevating your game from the leadership perspective that at least allows your team an opportunity to win matchups. And if you get conference wins, that's important as well. Now, tonight you beat a team in Dallas with that type of, perception, one of the better teams in the NFC, a Super Bowl, maybe dark horse. That adds a lot of value to the MVP odds.
I think one of the things where I think this is a good bet to make on Justin Fields, I didn't make it myself, but I see the vision, is Sam Darnold, if he can be sat now at 12-1, 10-1, then Justin Fields at 4-1 has to be 30-1 or less. Right. I think you should be able to beat that number, and it factors in if you like them on that Sunday night game. It's also coming off of a game with 3 total touchdowns and 360 yards of offense, specifically 300 passing yards. That is, Because now you look at it and you go, what if we do let him throw it a little bit more? Again, he is not going to have the Josh Allen, Stroud statistics, right? But if he has the record, changes the game a little bit with the rushing, I think he truly can be a part of the conversation. He has pedigree to him. Let's not forget, everybody remembers Ohio State Justin Fields, and people have kind of been begging for this kid to realize it. Donnie, you have a different approach when it comes to the MVP market now.
And I like the approach that Joe took because also we're handicappers here. And what I mean by that is Joe's not taking a plus 100 on Justin Fields to win the MVP. It's price appropriate. You're getting close to 50 to 1. That certainly does make a difference. For me, I'm going to look at the opposite end of the spectrum, but also a way to bet an MVP, and that's Josh Allen. You take a look at his season so far. They've been very good for the Buffalo Bills, and maybe I was a little bit down on them to start the season. But the key indicator, the 814 yards on offense, 203 yards per game. That's not a lot. You take a look, he scored 2 rushing touchdowns. That's what we expect out of him. But how about this? 7 touchdown passes and no interceptions for Josh Allen, when so many times in the past, guys, we've talked about, boy, he makes electric plays, but sometimes just the most boneheaded plays he can make. He's not doing that this year. But also, think about this. Undefeated till last week, they get smoked by Baltimore. He was up there at the top with Patrick Mahomes, plus 250 price, give or take. Now he's in that plus 350 or so range. You're looking at their next 2 football games, losable football games, both on the road. I still think if he can have, by the end of it, like no turnovers, 9, 10 touchdown passes by the time he gets through that gauntlet, now you're starting to look at a season where realistically, he can have 30 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions on the season, 9 rushing touchdowns, and the Buffalo Bills can win this division. So I'm looking at Josh Allen, but not ready to take him, Joe, just yet. I want to wait 2 more weeks to see if they can maybe split, and his price drops down to maybe a 5 or 1 at that point.
You get 5 to 1 on Josh Allen. I think it's great value. And the biggest thing for me when I look at Josh Allen is the interceptions. You limit mistakes. You put your team in a position to win. And not only that, it's the perception. Right, so this year, Buffalo was supposed to take a minor step back because they lost Diggs, the defensive talent. Maybe they weren't as elite as they were, and now all of a sudden, if you overexceed expectations, that's because of your quarterback, right? And we always talk about the added factor. It's not just throwing the football, right? You're talking about running the football, the ability to take games over with your legs. And I said it at the start of the year. Even though they lost last week, I was a big believer thinking that this was Buffalo's year. So I'm all in with Donnie.
I think for me, I would argue against, but I don't like them today. We're going to break down Texans, Bills. But it's the fact of saying, hey, we don't need to go right now, right?
Right.
We've already seen this number come back due to the loss that they suffered at Baltimore. And by no means is Josh Allen eliminated from the NFL MVP race just due to the fact that they lost the football game to Baltimore there. I think it gets interesting if, let's say, they drop their next 2 even. Is it, okay, this is awesome, we're getting 9 to 1, or is it, oh, wait a minute, how good are the Buffalo Bills? I think that's going to be a little bit of a tightrope to walk there in the market with Josh Allen, Donnie.
And it could be, and you're right, because you're trying to, because theoretically, they're not supposed to lose all those games if they're a good ball club, even though they're on the road. Let's just say they do surprise and win one of them. But as we know, it's really a statistical award, and what have you done for me lately, which means in the month of December, when the games really start ramping up, if they can still win that division, and he could lessen the turnovers, and also couple with the fact, nobody's running away with this. We don't see a guy with 17 touchdown passes through 4 weeks. That has to be a positive if you're looking into this market.
That's, again, if you look at it so far, it would be Darnold, and who's, again, they're going to be 5-0. They're up 17-0 now. The guy for me is the guy I talked about last year. It's MV Purdy. We're back at it again. I fully believe that after the next 3 games he plays, he is going to be the favorite to win league MVP, so I had to jump in now at 18 to 1. It is important that they win all 3 games, obviously, but it's that 3rd and final game. It's the revenge. It's the Super Bowl rematch against the Chiefs. It starts today, though, with the Arizona Cardinals. We'll break that game down next.
it's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
If you're sliding DiVincenzo to the one, obviously Terrence Channing Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant with that amount of money.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Back right here, Pro Football Today. Let's get to some of the best games on the board, including Niners-Cardinals. Listen, I know it's a big 7.5-point spread, but a lot of juice expected in this one with a big-time total checking in at 48.5. For the Brock Purdy MVP bet that I placed, it's not just a win being necessary, but it's taking advantage of an Arizona defense that is living up to its preseason billing as one of the worst in football. Jonathan Gannon, a defensive head coach, has been tasked with a very tough assignment of turning that group into competent, and so far Donnie is failing. I expect a big game out of Brock Purdy here. What are you expecting?
Me too, because I expect a big game out of the 49ers offense, and he should be the catalyst. The only issue is going to be, once they get inside that red zone, is going to be Mason scoring 3 times, or is it going to be Kittle, who looks like he's going to play today? Is it going to be Brandon Ayuk, still seems like fighting his way back into that lineup, and Deebo Samuel? There's too many weapons today that can attack that Arizona secondary. You look at that total, I expect it to be close to 50 points, not because I think Arizona is going to go up and down the field against the San Francisco 49ers guys, but I think the San Francisco 49ers legitimately should be into at least the low 30s in this football game. The one thing that is kind of puzzling, though, Joe, again, 95-degree temperatures. The reason I bring this up is guys are going to be out there like tongues hanging, but at the same time, there might be opportunity where this offense can just go a little bit up-tempo, as you like to say, and really run that defense right.
I like the over as well. And now we saw Brock Purdy break out 288 yards throwing against New England, and we saw Jaden Daniels have great success, 26 of 30, 233, made a lot of plays in the second half of that matchup. I pick your poison. San Francisco, I think, can run it. They can throw it. They gave up 200 yards, Arizona did, to the Washington offense. Brian Robinson, along with Jaden Daniels. I love Purdy through the 259.5. I do like San Francisco because I believe Arizona is going to revert and regress back to where they should have been last year. Maybe just a 4 or 5 win football team at the best. But their defense is atrocious, like San Francisco. But I do like the over with Donnie as well. And, you know, I know we laughed about it, but Juwan Jennings, again, led all receivers last week. 3 receptions, 88 yards. They're hanging a low number yet again. Maybe you don't go with the yards. Maybe you go in terms of the touchdown scorer today.
If you take a look so far in Arizona, the touchdowns they've been allowing are to the number 1 wide receivers, which I still believe is Deebo Samuel. I think he finds the end zone in this game. One boost for Arizona is Trey McBride is back in. Though, if you look on the Niners side of it, we have talked about their injuries. Fred Warner expected to play. George Kittle as well. I want to bring this up quickly, and then we'll get off this game. McCaffrey, does this guy play football this year? Because, my gosh, the fact that he was supposed to play in that Week 1 Monday nighter up until about 2 hours before kick, and now it feels like retirement is on the board, is mind-blowing, Donnie.
It really is, because entering into the season, we really weren't, the expectations, I should say, were Christian McCaffrey was banged up a little bit, and they slow played that injury, and then it turned into opening night. It was like, wait a second, he's not going to play football, and he didn't. Now turning it into, oh, by the way, his one Achilles hurts, and then a week later his other one hurts as well, and it's tendonitis in both. That tends to not go away. Thank goodness you have Mason in the backfield, but I don't know if we're going to get a late-season MVP quality player that's going to be back at 100% for the 49ers, and that's the way I look at it.
You got to make sure it's 100%. You can't fool around with any type of Achilles type of strain or any type of situation like that, because you tear it and you're gone for an extended period of time. I'll just say this, Kev, in regards to, you brought up Brock Purdy. You got me believing in regards to Brock Purdy as well. The fact that McCaffrey's out of that lineup has benefited, I think, in regards to the bet. If they do win now multiple games with Brock Purdy throwing 288, 290, 300, and it's not to McCaffrey and maybe Debo and Ayuk, I think that's only a benefit to the MVP odds that maybe Purdy is now carrying this team.
Yeah, I think.
And not to say that he didn't before. I'm just saying,
it's a huge part of me placing the bet is we don't have to deal with the McCaffreys, the MVP of this team, which was always nonsense and has never looked more ridiculous than the fact that Jordan Mason is the highest anytime touchdown scorer on today's slate. Let's get to Buffalo and Houston. Awesome game.
Love it.
Awesome game. Impacts that MVP race we've been talking about. Again, if you like the Texans, which I do, now I'm invested in Purdy, but I think C.J. Stroud makes a lot of sense. His number will get on the move in this game here. I'm taking Houston on that money line at minus 118. I think Buffalo's all kinds of banged up, man. I think a lot of people are going to look to bet the Bills off of a loss. This team can lose 2 in a row. They've done it every single year that Josh Allen has been their starting quarterback. They're not immune to something like that. They lose Taylor Rapp. They lose Khalil Shakir. They're already dealing with an Ed Oliver absence there. This is, to me, a banged-up Buffalo against what should be a dialed-in Houston Texans team focused with that Stephon Diggs revenge.
Yeah, I lean the other way in regards to bouncing back with Buffalo. But to your point, Kev, I really like the over in regards to the matchup. Now, you look at C.J. Stroud, did enough to get that victory, 24-20 over Jacksonville, with Nico Collins with another dynamic performance, leading all wide receivers by at least 100 yards in regards to the NFL. And you look at Buffalo, back-to-back road games, that is a concern, right? They got held in check in regards to the rushing attack. I think it's both passing attacks today. Even though, Buffalo was a little bit limited last week, I think they throw caution to the wind. It's all Josh Allen through the air. I like Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid. I like James Cook coming out of the backfield. Again, I lean to Buffalo, but my best play, Donnie, is the over. Both teams now 5 straight unders, 3 for Texans, 2 for Buffalo. I'm going contrary.
Yeah, I would say we probably get an over too, but also with Kevin's perspective, I think the Texans win this game. I just think they're coming into it a little bit better form, and also Tank Dell coming back. Now that wide receiving core is complete, they should be able to move the football. But if you're looking towards the Buffalo Bills and say, Donnie, give me a glimmer of life of why I think they could win the football game. Last week, what did you see? No, it was the Baltimore Ravens ran absolutely wild on that team. You're not going to get that same type of ground attack here in a banged up. Like, once Mixon was there, so you know what? That might be more formidable. But since he's not going to be there, I'm looking towards that passing game and matching up against that Buffalo Bills secondary as the key to who's going to win this one. But for me, I don't think the Buffalo Bills win. I think the Houston Texans are the better team in this one. And as Kevin also pointed out, 1.5 touchdown passes for C.J. Stroud. If I don't think they're going to be as effective running the ball, he's got to handle it through the air. I think he gets 2 of them today.
But you are all about Stephon Diggs in the revenge game here at the
Stephon Diggs revenge. Yeah, look, he's like 52, 53 yards. Absolutely. Quarterbacks understand what this means to wide receivers playing their old teams. He doesn't have to have a monster day. He just needs to get fed 50 yards and maybe a red zone look for a touchdown for Stephon Diggs. Absolutely.
I think Josh Allen will be going off in this game over 230.5 passing yards. It is the same bounce-back spot that allowed him to throw for over 230 yards in the first half against the Jacksonville Jaguars, coming off of a game with less than 200 passing yards. The follow-up game, Josh Allen averages 300 passing yards in a shootout today in Houston. He's going to be throwing that ball, Shakir or not. We will update you in London next.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
If you're sliding DiVincenzo to the one, obviously Terrence Channing Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant with that amount of money.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Back with you right here, putting odds in motion, as always, on Pro Football Today. And there are odds in motion when you think about pregame movement, something like the Buffalo Bills sitting as a favorite, then flipping to a dog, then back to a favorite, then back to a dog. The injury report, that short line between Bills-Texans leads to things of that nature. Then there's in-game odds in motion, where right now Minnesota is running away with this football game, up 17-0 here on the New York Jets. We've got about $1.30 to go in this opening half here, guys. What are we looking at right now, Donnie, in London?
Like, I'm looking at Minnesota. If they just take a knee the rest of the game, can probably shut the Jets out 17-0. That's how porous the Jets' offense has actually been here. You're waiting for them to step up and play. And let's remind ourselves, last week, the Jets didn't even score double digits. The Jets are looking like going into the half, not scoring a single point.
Yeah, it's 13.
I don't know how you can take the Jets at all.
13.5 is the in-game number for the Jets. Part of me wants to take it, but I have no confidence that they're going to score in regards to this matchup. The other factor was 40.5 they hung. I almost said, could we get the over, right? 21 more points, right? No, 24 more points. Do we need it? I have no confidence in Aaron Rodgers. Now, do they curious, you're down 3 scores going into the half.
Yes.
Is second half are you trying to establish the run at all, or you just try and throw it 40 times with Rodgers?
They might break him in half if he throws 40 times, like in this football game. They have to obviously, have some semblance of a ground game to keep them honest. But let's also keep in mind, second half kickoff is going to go to the Minnesota Vikings. The Jets look like they're going to get the football in good field position with one timeout left, and let's just call it a minute and a half. The Jets need points at all costs. They already, gave up 3 points when they went for it on fourth down. Third down run, fourth down run, didn't get it. Points you needed here. If you don't get any points, the game's probably a wrap at that point. So there you go.
And I think I'm going to probably try and just do this right now. I think Lisi, the over's to look live.
They bumped it up 1 point, 41.5. So there goes, need 25.
Well,
if we get a field goal here, you really need
any points here.
There it is.
Okay. Any points here, Joe? Because getting 25 in the second half is not terrible, right? There are plenty of games that you bet where those are our second half expectations here. I would be pretty surprised if the Jets don't get any points on this. I think the interesting thing is, are we in line for the Jets being a little conservative potentially? Now, see, you know what the problem is, and why I'm not going to bet this.
Why?
Wait till half.
What do you got?
Why?
No, and this isn't for the audience. We're so far behind. Lord knows where they are. Like, the Vikings might have the football right
Exactly.
now. You know what I mean?
Tough. But they did, just to get Kevin's point, they had a huge punt return, which put them around the 30-yard line for the Jets going in. So points are at a premium. They got 3 in their pocket. They got to get 7 here.
Let me ask you something.
You on your own 40,
Yes.
you want 3. You on the 30, you got to get 7.
Here's one of the big issues with the Jets. And, again, I know we're harping a lot on the Jets side of it, but how do you not when they are being shut out? Let's say they leave this game with 10 or less points, any other football team would go, hey, look, make the tough decision, fire the OC. Can they even do that?
No.
Are they even allowed to fire the offensive coordinator?
That's their offense.
That's why
Aaron Rodgers is going to run the same offense. What's going to come in? The brand new offense. Hey, look, I'm going to change all the personnel and packages. He'll be like, retired.
This was the worst, in my opinion, worst situation scenario if you were sitting on an AFC championship or a jet ticket to do bigger and better things. Because once adversity hits, it's no longer the head coach. It's Aaron Rodgers that makes all of those decisions. Otherwise, you don't get Aaron Rodgers bought in, right? So that is the biggest problem when you look at the coach, when you look at the situation with the quarterback. Now, they could come away with points here if Donnie's right and they can get a touchdown. You're down by 10.
Change the complexion of the game.
Now everything is opened up, right, in regards to the total?
Also, in the second half, because Aaron Jones has played such a key contributor for that Minnesota team. I haven't seen him since he's left with that injury, and that's a big playmaker that you're not going to have in the second half.
Well, that is, again, another thing there, and it's funny you guys say that. I was trying to do some research on Aaron Jones, if there's any updates around whether or not he's going to be available, because now all of a sudden you're looking at, Ty Chandler in this game has 8 carries, but significantly more ineffective than what we've seen early from Aaron Jones. And even if you look in the receiving game, Aaron Jones has a 24-yard grab. You're not getting that type of work right now out of the backfield there. So, again, if this Jets team is able to grab points here on this drive, a touchdown specifically, the Minnesota offense has really, really slowed down. Let's not forget, 7 of those points are from the defense, creating a pick 6 here. So you've not seen, and this is Sam Darnold's not playing like an MVP. That's not what's going on here right now, even if this will help his MVP case, because that's the way the award has been working. But, this is such a pivotal moment here for the New York Jets, and we'll continuously give you all of the updates around this game, including the fact that we could eventually be breaking down the Jets and Davante Adams. We'll talk about the trade targets next.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the 1. Obviously, Terrence Jennings Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant with that amount of money.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.